welcome back to another enlightening episode of Myths and Naps podcast series. I'm your host, Hetvi Shah, and today we are diving into the world of neurology to discuss the diagnosis and management of peripheral neuropathy, a condition leading to pain, weakness, and sensory disturbances. And to shed light on this, we are honored to have Dr. Shubha Subramaniam with us today. With over 2 decades of an extensive expertise covering a wide array of neurological disorders, which includes stroke, epilepsy, movement disorders, and more. She's also a proud member of various prestigious associations like Indian Medical Association and Indian Academy of Neurology. Her dedication to neuro emergencies and neurodiagnostics as well as her proficiency in specialized clinics make her an exceptional authority on this topic. So Dr. Shubha, welcome to MedScience podcast, and it is a pleasure to have you here.
Hi Hetvisha, and thanks for this wonderful and warm welcome.
So to start with, could you share your medical journey with us?
Yeah, like I completed my MBBS from PSG Institute of Medical Sciences, Coimbatore, and I did my MD General Medicine from Sri Balaji Medical College, Chennai, and then I did my DM Neurology from the prestigious Institute of Neurology, Madras Medical College, Chennai. And then once I finished, I joined a corporate hospital which does a lot of transplants. It's one of the biggest transplant units in Southeast Asia. So I started the neurology department there, and I have experience with respect to post-transplant neurological complications. And then from there, I shifted to a couple of other corporate hospitals. Right now, I'm working at SIMS Hospitals, Vadapayani, which is the hospital's neurosciences department is one of the topmost in the city, and it's ranked third in South India.
Thank you for sharing your inspiring journey, Doctor. So now let's get started with our conversation. What are the main and common clinical presentation of peripheral neuropathy, and how can subtle differences in symptoms guide the diagnostic process?
Okay. So first of all, before that, people should know what is peripheral neuropathy. So if you take the nervous system, the central nervous system comprises the brain and the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, nerve roots come out and supply the entire body. So the peripheral nervous system is the one that starts once the nerve roots exit out of the spinal cord, and then the peripheral nerves, the neuromuscular junction, and the muscles come under the peripheral nervous systems. So peripheral neuropathy is a very common problem that a neurologist encounters in their outpatient practice. Now, if you look at the symptoms, patient may say they have pain in both the upper limbs or the lower limbs. They can have paresthesias. Paresthesias are abnormal sensations like tingling, burning sensation, pins and needles sensation. So those are paresthesias. They can also have numbness. They can have numbness pertaining to the territory supplied by the nerve, or numbness in both upper and lower limbs, most commonly the palmar aspect and the plantar aspect of the feet. Then they can have decreased sensitivity to touch. These are all the sensory symptoms. The motor symptoms can be weakness of the muscles, which the patients will complain in the form of difficulty in buttoning the shirt, difficulty in using the cutlery, difficulty in combing the hair, shampooing the hair. With respect to the lower limbs, unaware slippage of slippers, tripping of toes, difficulty in standing from sitting posture. So these are some of the peripheral neuropathy symptoms. Now, with respect to the symptoms, depending upon the kind of symptoms, we think whether it could be a large fiber neuropathy or a small fiber neuropathy. Why I'm saying that is the big nerves are obviously, as the name says, large fibers. Small fibers are those little type C fibers. That's what we say. Now, depending upon whether the large fibers are involved or the small fibers are involved, the etiology of the peripheral neuropathy, like for example, the nerves are damaged, yes, but what caused the damage? Is it diabetes? Is it vitamin B12 deficiency? Is it because of drugs? Is it because of cancer? So depending upon the symptoms, I will know whether it's large fiber or small fiber, or whether it's a combination of large fiber and small fiber, which in turn will give me an idea of what the diagnosis could be.
Yes, thank you for explaining these differences. Now, let's talk a bit about the diagnosis. So,
Uh,
how do nerve conduction studies and electromyography contribute to the diagnosis and characterization of peripheral neuropathy?
Okay. So, as I said, once we know that we are dealing with peripheral neuropathy, we would like to know what are the nerves that are involved. Is it only the motor nerves that are involved, or is it the sensory nerves that are involved? And whether it's upper and lower limb, like, there are different patterns. And then the damage to the peripheral nerves can also be differentiated into axonal damage, demyelinating damage. The peripheral nerves have a covering called the myelin. Now, if only the myelin is affected, it's a demyelinating neuropathy. But if it is the main nerve, the axon itself that gets damaged, then it's an axonal neuropathy. So, for me to know all these details, again, once I know these details, I'll know what the cause could be. So, for me to confirm that, I'll require a nerve conduction study. So it is an OP test that's performed wherein the nerves are stimulated, and then depending upon the results, we will know what pattern it is, which nerves are involved, whether the upper limbs are more involved than the lower limbs, or whether it is a combined process. Now, sometimes we may not be able to differentiate so well whether it is a neurological pathology or it is a pathology pertaining to the muscles, or we might have a confusion whether it's the nerve roots that are involved or the peripheral nerves. When in doubt, we also do the electromyography. We put in a needle on specific muscles and then see what is the pattern. So depending upon this, we will know what is the reason as to why patient is coming up with these symptoms.
So, these diagnoses play a major role.
Definitely. Like they help us in confirming and giving more detail to the diagnosis.
Yes, right. So, as we all know that peripheral neuropathy often involves significant pain. So, what are the most effective pain management strategies do you recommend, and how do you balance efficacy with potential side effects?
Okay. So now with respect to the pain, it can be either, first thing is pharmacological and symptomatic treatment. Symptomatic treatment is, for example, for fever, we give paracetamol. Same way for the pain, there are a lot of medications, some coming under the class of antidepressants, some coming under the class of antiepileptics, NSAIDs, opioids. There is a wide range of oral medications, which is important because first thing the patient wants is pain relief. About the diagnosis, I am worried. Patient does not have a clue about it. All they want is pain relief. So drugs play a major role. There are different classes of drugs. Sometimes if the oral drugs are not enough, IV medications can be given. Sometimes there are patches that can, you put a patch, it can work for 24 hours, it can work for 72 hours. So pain patches, those are the medications that we use to tackle the pain. And then it does not end there. Like how I said, for fever, we give paracetamol. We also investigate and find out what is the cause of the fever and treat with antibiotics, right? So same way, we find out what is the cause and treat that as well. Only then the pain relief will be persistent. For example, if it is diabetic neuropathy, along with the pain medications, we also need to step up the oral hypoglycemic agents or add insulin for better pain relief. For vitamin B12 deficiency, we give vitamin B12 supplements. In case of hypothyroidism, we give thyroxine replacement. And then in some cases like connective tissue disorders, we also give steroids. Steroids can act with respect to the etiology also. They can independently act as a pain relief agent also. So the treatment should concentrate on the symptomatic relief as well as the etiology of the symptom. Only then the patient can have a good pain relief. And then with respect to the efficacy as well as the drug side effects, we always look at risk versus benefit ratio. Like for example, if the benefit of pain relief outweighs the small side effects, then we push in. But if the side effects are more, the patient is unable to tolerate, then it does not solve the purpose. Then we have to see whether the drugs have to be changed. Sometimes we also give topical preparations. They don't act very well, but they can give a placebo effect to the patient so that, they get pain relief.
Yes, rightly said. Pain management is critical aspect for patients. So now, in your experience, how do you educate patients about peripheral neuropathy and its management, and what resources or support systems do you recommend to help them cope up with their condition?
How do we educate? Basically, when the patient walks into the OPD, like instead of just giving a prescription, I try and have a detailed discussion with them. Like, say that I'm starting with the symptomatic management. I will run a couple of tests. Please come back after, say, 1 week or 10 days time, so that we will also manage the etiology. So most of the time we educate them during the consultation. But other than that, yeah, like CMEs, so that people who refer to neurologists, like other specialities, other general practitioners who refer to us, they should also have an idea, right? So we do roundtable conferences with general practitioners. We organize CME meetings, conferences, through which we can create awareness. And then with the patient, for the patient per se, it's all about, now everything is in social media. So you see a lot of digital info. So do YouTube videos, newsletter articles, thereby creating awareness that if at all you have these kind of symptoms, please see the neurologist and get yourself evaluated. Resources, as I said, it's all print media as well as digital media.
Yes, that is also important.
We can also run camps. We do dedicated peripheral neuropathy camp, dedicated headache camp, run ads in radio, so that patient knows if they have these symptoms, then they have to report for the camp. So these are some of the resources that we utilize.
Yes, education is the most important.
Yeah, first of all, they should know that they should be getting help for these symptoms, no? Instead of just leaving it like that. You would be surprised, in spite of all the digital info that people get. I think it's sometimes, I feel it's too much information overload. People keep saying, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Finally, patients are so confused that they don't end up at the right time.
Yes, and a lot of myths also are created through social media, I think.
Yes, most of them think all peripheral neuropathy because of vitamin B12. If you see, they will already be on multiple vitamins, which does not solve the purpose. No, vitamin B12 is just one of the causes of peripheral neuropathy. They'll say, doctor, I took Neurobion Forte, in spite of which the symptoms are persistent. That is why I came. And waste some time already.
Yes, that is why expert opinion matters.
Oh, yeah.
So finally, can you explain what is the role of nutritional support and supplementation in the management of peripheral neuropathy, and are there specific deficiencies or dietary patterns you should look out for?
Yes, like as such per se, diet does not play a role in peripheral neuropathy. But then the causes of peripheral neuropathy. So we can see nutritional causes of peripheral neuropathy. For example, as I said, vitamin B12, especially if you see vegetarians, in vegetarian diet, there's not much of vitamin B12. So vitamin B12 deficiency can lead to peripheral neuropathy. So try and take foods rich in vitamin B12. But if they're very staunch vegetarians, then try and take supplements. And then diabetes also is one of the leading causes of peripheral neuropathy. So you ask the patient to be on a strict diabetic diet, thereby limiting the damage to the nerves, thereby helping the peripheral neuropathy. So as I said, there's no direct connection, but then depending upon the etiology, the diet and supplementation plays a major role. Same way, thyroid. Like thyroid deficiency can also lead to peripheral neuropathy. So replacement of thyroxine as a supplement will also help it.
Yes, so you should look out for comorbidities.
Correct. Yeah.
So this concludes our episode today, and Dr. Shubha, your insights into the diagnosis and management of peripheral neuropathy were incredibly valuable, and thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me as a speaker, and happy to create some awareness about neurological conditions.
Thank you. And a big thanks to our audience for joining in. And if you are a healthcare professional who is eager to delve deeper into medical topics or have questions, don't hesitate to join us on MedSynapse platform. MedSynapse platform is not just a resource, it's a dynamic space where you can connect with your medical peers, participate in meaningful discussions, and contribute to the ongoing evolution of healthcare. Until next time, stay healthy and take care.